Hey yo. Oh, that sounded terrible. Hi. My name's JoJo, and this is JoJo's Jargon. What I'm going to be doing here on this channel, and in podcasting format, probably, I don't know. I'm just going to be putting my thoughts. I'm going to put short stories, the different things I've messed with throughout life that I find difficult, that I've made some progress in. I don't know. Simply put, it's just going to be the jargon that I come up with. Like any thoughts going through my head, I'm going to make a little episode about, or stories. I've spent a lot of time over the past several years writing terrible short stories. Some of them were meant to be like MCU multiverse level stories with characters upon characters upon characters, but I'm terrible at writing, and so I thought it best if I read my writing and then speak it. But I don't know. It's going to be a roller coaster. This is my first one, and so this one is actually going to be entitled Choices. Welcome to Choices. Making decisions has always been something that's been like a foreign thought to me. Like, it's not something that I do a lot. I tend to go with the flow. Growing up, I don't remember making many choices, or at least ones that mattered to younger me enough for me to remember. So that's mainly because of the household I grew up in. Because I grew up in a household where my mom, she was the ruler king of the household. My dad was a quiet guy. That's fine. That's a decent family dynamic. Everyone has their own. But because of my mom's personality when it comes to when it comes to that stuff, I always felt that every time I made a choice, even if it was seemingly right, it was wrong. It was immediately invalidated. Why? Because she said so. Because my mom said so. And yeah, that's something a lot of adults do. I even found myself saying it to younger kids, and it's something I try not to do because it's left such a negative impact on me, especially when like made a choice on something and it was seemingly the correct one, but the backlash was like, no, you just can't do that because, and not give an actual reason for why. And you're just left thinking about why. Because when I was younger, I tend to overthink everything. I still overthink everything. Actually, one of the things I would do when I was younger, when I was around 6 or 7, I came up with a game called The Game. Yeah, and I'm aware of how original that sounds, but like I was a young kid. I was 6 or 7, like I said. Me and my brother, we would often like pick lives to live. And we would iron out every detail. We'd come up with prices for how we thought things would cost, what we saw at stores of what things cost then. We would fill out pages and pages of indecipherable jargon onto these notebooks. And we would just continue. We would go from that. We would play out different lives, and sometimes we would incorporate people we know into these stories, our friends and our family, and we would spend such a long time trying to think about what they would do, so we would know how to shape our story around that, so we can make our actions and our choices. Basically, we played house. I'm guessing a lot of kids played house. I don't know. I don't know a lot of things. How other people grew up is one of those things. But that's basically what we did. But I don't know. We put a lot of details into, and one of the best things was we would, when we would reach the end, we would just restart. We'd be able to make a different choice. If we didn't like some of the choices we made throughout that, we would get to redo the choices. And I think that's one of the scariest things for me right now. It's that A lot of the times the choices you make are permanent. You don't get a second chance to redo. You can't just hit the go back to last save button. You can't time travel. You've just got to live with the choices you've made. That has scared me to such an extent. One of the examples of this, when I was younger, I was in Boy Scouts. I joined Boy Scouts because of one of my friends at the time. He was in the troop, and so I joined. But because of how the dynamic between my mother and I was, it was difficult. And eventually I was pulled. But to get there, let's see. One of the examples in Boy Scouts was we had to put down our family on a table or something, and we had to pick what our family would bring. That was like an immediate red flag. Like, I had to choose what my family was bringing to this get together. I had no idea. I don't think I had a phone. I don't remember having a phone at the time, so I couldn't call my mom. I couldn't ask her what I should bring, and so I was just stuck there thinking, what do I bring? What would my mom bring? I don't know. I don't want to be yelled at when I get home for her telling me, oh, we can't bring that, or why would you even think of bringing that? Because that's what I felt her response would be. I was so afraid of what my mom's response would be that I just didn't choose anything. I didn't even sign my family up for it, a table, or even myself to go, because I was too afraid of what my choice would bring, that it would be the wrong choice. And like I did say, eventually later on I did get pulled from Boy Scouts, which was one of the things because I had terrible communication skills as well. I like the communication skills to communicate with people. That just piles on when you are afraid of making choices, of it being the wrong choice. So yeah, basically I grew up in a home where I made a choice. It was by default the wrong choice. It led me to fear everything. I guess that's one of the main things of this, and I will get to that in another one. Fear of all of the outcomes and possibilities and stuff. But choices, even today, it stems from that, I guess, the fear. But because of my fear of what it might be, it halts me even to this day. I tend to break things down into two things. Or I either throw myself at the choice and don't think about it, or I think too much about it to the point where I eventually don't do it, or I just think about I just choose whatever I would have first chose anyway. And so it makes me feel even worse because I chose what I know I would have chosen, but I spent 15 minutes deciding. And it's just it makes me feel even worse about choosing. And it just is a vicious cycle that just keeps going on and on. I don't know how to make making choices easier. I honestly don't. I guess because of the fear encapsulated. I don't know. I'm not sure. Choices. If I had the choice to, I don't know. Choices are weird for me. It just always has, and the whole probably always will be. Hopefully, it'll be easier for me to make choices as time goes on. But for now, choices remain an elusive thing for me. Just so foreign. Even now, I stick to not making choices. I will. So I've recently started dating, and when I go out on dates and stuff, I feel terrible because I don't know what to choose. I'm afraid of how they're gonna view me as a person based on the choices that I make, and so I default to whatever they choose. I don't want to take them to the wrong place, so I make them choose where we're going to go. And I guess it shows how weak of a person I am. So it's something I've got to work on. If any of you know how to make making choices easier, let me know, because that would be really helpful. But for right now, I will be stuck in my forever loop of choices. But yeah, that's it. That's it for this one. I in the beginning I did say I was going to read what I wrote. I didn't. I just skimmed it and I talked about it off my head. I read it like 3 or 4 times, but I mainly just talked about the key talking points because I didn't like the way it was written on here, but I also don't like the way I said it. But anyway, thank you for listening to my jargon. Yeah, this was a good first episode for me. And if you want to listen to more of my jargon, stay tuned, subscribe, do whatever, man. It's your choice to make, I guess.